Needless to say, Bill Riley doesn't bring cash to the ZBA.
Sure he doesn't. Good evening. My name is Mary Maslowski. I'm the chair of the Harwich Historic District and Historical Commission. We are convening our meeting for Wednesday, October 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. We're holding the meeting at Town Hall, 732 Main Street in Harwich Center in the small hearing room. I'd like to just start with a roll call, please.
Robert Down.
Brendan Lowney.
Lynn Zalasak.
Julia Elliott.
Great. And just pursuant to state law, I just want to notify the attendees that anyone who intends to record the meeting must first notify the chair. Hearing none, we will go forward and open the public hearing for HH 23-21. It is AAAEE LLC owner, through their agent, attorney Jeff Ford, who has filed a notice of intent. The project proposes to remove a single-story addition to construct a new addition in its place. The structure is over 100 years old according to the town assessing records and is located at 33 Freeman Street, map 15, parcel B5-C. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Attorney Mike Ford, representing the applicant, together with Steve Glasheen, the architect from PSD. Jeff Ford is at one of his kids' games this evening, so I'm pinch hitting for him. So
you get to step up.
I get to step up. Right, exactly. So, as you read in the legal notice, this involves 33 Freeman Street. Our research is that it is the front portion of this building that appears to be have the history to it and be historical. The assessors have it, the building is 1889, and your own town inventory had it as 1888, so it's got to be somewhere in there. No question it meets your criteria for needing your approval. And we'd suggest that the front portion is historically significant. Not so, we'd suggest respectfully with respect to the additions that have been placed, the single-story additions on the rear of the building. We did examine what building permits were available at Town Hall. It appears that those were constructed sometime between 95 and 2000, as near as we could tell. And so what we've come to you tonight for, on behalf of the applicant, is to seek a partial demolition of that single-story additions that were in the back, and to upgrade the front. We do want to put a new foundation under it, get it lifted up, get a good foundation to take it another 100 years, and to build an addition to the back of it that we respectfully suggest complements the historic structure in the front. And so with that, if I could, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to Steve and have him just kind of walk you through existing and proposed, and kind of in a pictorial way and a plan way, show you exactly what we're proposing to demolish.
Please.
Thank
Steve.
you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Commission members. So as Mike said, the front portion of the house largely is staying intact in terms of its shell.
Can you see this, or do you want me
yeah.
to pass it up?
We have it in front of us.
It's the same as the submission. So, as Mike mentioned, the idea is to demo the rear portions, lift the front, new foundation with a brick veneer shelf to maintain the current brick foundation that's there. And there is a front portion on the northwest corner, one story, you can see in the image on the top left there, that we believe was attached at some point, maybe an added bathroom at one point, but did not seem to be historically in keeping with the rest of the front portion of the house. So we are proposing to remove that and reestablish the symmetry of the front elevation, or off-balanced asymmetry. As Mike mentioned, updating of materials in terms of sidewall. We're keeping the profiles of all of the roof line trim, corner boards, and window casings. We'll be assessing the chimney for stability once we get in there to do the foundation. If it does need to be replaced or is not able to withstand the lift, it will be rebuilt in kind, same location, size, dimensions, details. And on the front portion, we are adding a front covered entry, small in scale, kind of in keeping with the scale of the front of the house, with a little hood roof and columns and stoop. The addition portion steps in on either side and is recessed as it engages with the back of the historic portion. That's what you can see in the demolition diagrams down below. The green portion is the connector, which is inset of the dormer and the corner boards, trying to give a nod to the historic front portion of the house and not contend with it. Cedar shingle sidewalls, painted trim. The front portion windows will be replaced with double hung, looking at low-end wood double hungs of the same sizes. I think that's the general. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments.
So I think we're hoping that you can find, and obviously you need to get your questions answered if you have them, that this will not, substantially diminish the historic portion of the house that's there. But that's obviously for you to make that conclusion, but that's what we're hoping that you'll come in with, and therefore find no need to impose a delay in this particular instance. So,
Who'd like to start? Bob, you want to start?
Sure. The trim, are you replacing all the existing trim?
Yes, in our review of it, most of it's pretty well rotted. A lot of it's actually covered in aluminum. So there is some that's still exposed with it, but yeah, the idea is to replace it in
What's the
kind.
material you'll replace it with?
So I don't know if that's yet been determined. We've been using PVC as well as boral in those cases, but yeah.
Typically, what is it, AZAC?
Well,
Is-
AZAC and
Is-
Boral would be the same
Is it?
difference.
Okay,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
those materials I know have been accepted.
Yes, PVC, AZAC is the model name of PVC, right.
Right,
As long as it's painted.
It is paint, exactly, all painted.
yeah. And you, and the trim of the windows, you're gonna maintain that
The
little?
pediment
Pediment.
profile, absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
And you said you were replacing the windows?
Replacing the windows,
All the
yes,
windows,
all the
and
windows.
Continue with the 6/6 or?
Same light pattern, same Muntin dimensions, and same window dimensions.
And what are the windows that you'll be using?
It's a company called Loewen, Loewen. They're a Canadian manufacturer.
Are they okay? And will they have exterior highlights, the
Yes, full divided light, and they are a wood sash
They are
and
wood,
frame
okay.
material.
Applied grills.
Applied grills, right. So simulated divided light, yeah.
No, I think that's all questions I have.
All right. My one question is, it looks like in the addition, you've got 2/2s as opposed to the 6/6s.
Correct, yeah. In the addition, we did casements at a
Okay.
different light pattern.
Okay.
And yeah, so deliberately.
All right. And I will personally say that I like the fact you're removing that jut out in the front and restoring the front of the building. And you said that if you do have to do any work on the chimney, you will rebuild it as,
As same
the same look?
dimension, same
Okay.
look, and still painted, actually,
Okay,
as you can see
great.
in the rendering. Yep.
those are my only questions, Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, to exactly what Mary said, taking off that front portion, I mean, everything here to me seems, it looks great. Thank you for the
Yeah.
drawings, all the detail. I think it looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn?
Yeah, it looks really good, and the elevation is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Julie?
No, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience? Okay.
And then real quickly for the
Yeah.
board, so Boral is a,
Fly ash.
yeah, it's like a fly ash
Yeah.
fiber board.
Yep.
And then you have PVC. So, I mean, it's what everyone's using now, so either product would be fine.
As long as you paint it.
as long as painted.
As long as it's painted,
Yeah,
yes.
and both look the
So
same
one's
when they're
PVC
painted.
and one is a fly ash, and it's like a fiber cement board.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Hardy
the hardy plank, exactly.
Yeah.
Same material.
So both items that are termite resistant.
Exactly.
To the extent anything is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Boral has less thermal movement than PVC does, so that's why it's,
okay. Any other questions? Is the board ready to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
So Bob's made a motion, who seconded?
Second.
Lynn seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries, 5-0. Who'd like to take a stab at the motion and the decision? Brendan, Bob?
Motion to approve case HH 202321, filing date September 18, 2023, hearing October 18, 2023, map and parcel 33 Freeman Street, map 15 parcel B5-C, owner AAAEEK LLC, applicant Jeffrey Ford, Michael Ford. Recording information, sir, is 200026, year built, 1889. Demolition proposed, partial. Brief description of the work. The project proposed is to remove a single-story addition to construct a new addition in its place. Historical significance listed on the town's historic property inventory. The proposed demolition would not destroy or substantially diminish the historic value, significance of the subject building. Determination, no demolition delay period imposed with no conditions.
Condition it with respect to,
Oh, just the paint?
well, the chimney and they stated they were gonna do the
Oh, the veneer, I'm sorry.
veneer on the
So
foundation.
I'm
Those are the
sorry,
only two
conditions
things.
are brick veneer on the foundation. And to make sure the trim is painted.
What about the chimney?
Was the
Just if he has to, if they have to replace the chimney, that it's replaced.
Replace the chimney in kind.
replace the chimney in kind, sorry, I missed that.
That's okay.
Second.
Okay. So motion's been made by Brendan, seconded by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
They'll have this in the office tomorrow morning.
Can't ask for more than that.
Sorry you missed the soccer game, but
Yeah.
pleasure to see you.
I don't know, given the rain. This might have been the better choice. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, hi, Bill.
Hey, Mike,
How are you?
you missed some soccer games in high school your senior year, right? You did, you hurt your toe. your big
You're
toe.
right, you still remember
I
that.
remember that, we needed you.
My toe is still bent.
He's still suffering from those injuries as we speak. Okay, so jump over the meeting minutes and we will do an informal presentation from Mr. Kroll, Attorney
Thank you.
Kroll for 11 Atlantic Avenue. What can we do for you this evening, sir?
Have a handout for you, a packet
Please.
for each of you. Thank you. Thank you for squeezing me in. But we all may get to eat on time today.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go through this in order.
Thanks.
You want to keep it in order, it might be easier to follow.
Thank you.
So I believe this property at 11 Atlantic Avenue, which is in the campgrounds, as you know, is on your list. And so I have what I think is convincing evidence that it should not be on the list because it's less than 100 years old. So my clients who are the McCabe's, Stephen and, just want to get Mrs. McCabe's name right. Stephen and Lauren McCabe, who then deeded the property to their LLC, which is CLS Properties LLC, which is the current owner, that's the current owner of the property, and they are going to seek to demolish and replace this structure. It goes through the Board of Health and the Board of Appeals for a special permit. So this property is, the structure is at 11 Atlantic Street, and it faces Nantucket Sound. If you look at the next page, which is the assessor's map, we are lot 144. The abutting house is lot 145, which is right next to the public parking lot when you go down there. So when you're in the public parking lot, the one on the left is lot 145. And then we're the next two lots.
Yeah.
And you notice that 145 is right at the end of Highland Avenue on that assessor's map. So if you go to the next plan, which is the plan of the campgrounds, the old Ocean Grove plan, you see my notations at the bottom of that plan, and that's that's the southerly side. So my markings are in the ocean. So you see lot 145 is directly at the end of Highland Avenue. I circled Highland Avenue right above it. And then lot 144 and lot 143 are both to the east of that lot. You go to the next plan, which is the 1910 Atlas. So I circled 1910 in red to show you, and I circled down directly opposite Highland Avenue. It says Henry Smalley, right? Which is an old Harwich name, right at the end of Highland Avenue. So in 1910, that was the only house along that waterfront from the public parking lot, that big space there, the Smalley house to the east, and then nothing to the east of that. So there was no house there in 1910, right? I know that's beyond 100 years, I'm getting to that. So the next document is a deed, and let me explain that the the nuances of conveyancing, real estate conveyancing. The Henry Smalley lot is now what's called a land court title. Means there was an issue with the title at some point, and back in 1933, the title was put through the land court in Boston to remedy that defect and say that, okay, this is the owner back then, which was Margaret King. So I'll get to that in a moment. But that's a land court title. And then the two lots that my clients own, lots 144 and 143, are not land court. So there, you have two types of titles in Massachusetts. You have land court title or registered title, it's called, or non-land court or unregistered title, all right? So the lots that I'm dealing with are not land court, they're unregistered. So, but prior to 1933, when the title became land courted, so to speak, it was not a land court title. So we have a deed here from 1910 that I circled in red. It says Ellen Smalley, and then I circled lot 145. So back in 1910, lot 145, which is next to us, was owned in part by somebody named Smalley. And that's where I'm saying that's the Henry Smalley house shown on that 1910 Atlas. Okay? Then go to the next deed, which is a deed concerning lot 144, which is our lot. But let's skip ahead to the last 3 pages that say copy of decree. All right? This one here says copy of decree. So it became land court, a land court title. You see at the top, I wrote in 9/5/33, my handwriting. That's when it got land courted. Go to the next page, and it refers again to Ellen Smalley to show you that that's lot 145 next to us, that's the Smalley house at the end of Highland Avenue. Okay, so once it was originally not land court, then it got land courted in 33, and I've got deeds prior to the land courting that reference Smalley, and then the land court title itself references Smalley. So the last document, which is a circle that says lot 144, the top right, the one I skipped over for a moment. See that one? Okay, so that's lot 144, which is our lot, one of our 2 lots. And then I circled the asterisk in red, and down at the bottom, you see the date, which is November 16th, 1925. So in 1925, the owner, which was Carl L., E-L-L, owned a lot of property in Harwich, put a restriction on the lot. And the restriction says that the lot is conveyed subject to the restriction that no structure shall be erected thereon other than one dwelling designed for the occupation of a single family, together with a garage designed for the occupancy of not more than 2 cars. And my contention is that if the lot wasn't vacant, you wouldn't put that restriction on if there was already a house there. So that tells me that that was a vacant lot in 1925 when Carl L. sold it, and he put a restriction on to make sure that it would only be one single-family dwelling if anybody ever built on that lot. So to me, that gives us evidence that there still was no house there after the 1910 atlas showed no house. There still was no house there come 1925, which is now less than 100 years from now.
So who owned the land in 1910? That lot 144 and 43 are on.
That would have been, if that deed says, that's from Carl L. So I have not done a complete title search, Lynn, to all of these lots. I've tried to get back to find evidence of whether there's a house on the lot. I would venture to say that probably Carl L. owned it in 1910, but I don't really think it matters who owned it prior to that. What matters is in 1925, he put a restriction on that says you can't build, don't build anything on it except for a single-family house.
So I'm just trying to read, with quick claim covenants, parcel of land situate in Harwich Port.
Where's it, which documents?
I'm on your
144?
your deed with the restriction.
Yeah.
Land situate in Harwich Port, County Barnstable, and said Commonwealth, shown as lot numbered 144 on the Ocean Grove recorded Barnstable deeds book.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And bounded and described as follows, and it's bounded by 145, and it's bounded northerly by lot 143. Not that it's really northerly by 143, but I would have said it was easterly by 143, but it's certainly referring back to a recorded plan with a number.
Right. And that plan has had different numbers through the years. Right now, it's Plan Book 33, page 7. There's another version of it that has a different plan book and page number, but it's the same plan.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do Bill's job for him, but I would also say that good conveyancing would have said a parcel of land with buildings thereon.
Yes, it doesn't say that.
It doesn't say that.
Right.
It says a parcel of land. So I
Thank you.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think you're close.
Yeah.
You're obviously close, but I think you're just prior to the 100 years.
But if there was a previous restriction on it, either because of the group that, you know, the rules of the area, they'd put it in the lease anyways,
Right,
even if there was a house on it,
right.
right?
And the new building would be in accordance to that description?
I
I
couldn't
would,
follow that.
So,
If you're saying there could have been this similar restriction in a prior deed?
yeah,
The title reference just before the asterisk says, that I underlined, being a portion of the same premises conveyed to the grantor, meaning Carl L., by Hattie Ayer, that's where you get Ayer Lane in Howardsport, and another trustees by deed dated September 15th, 1925, and recorded in book 400, page 307. I can take a look
so
at that deed.
this is obviously pre-zoning. It's it's pre just about everything.
Yeah.
So there was no subdivision control in
It
the
wa-
20s.
No, but there was
They had
the Spiritual Revivalist
Correct.
Association, Ocean Grove Association control,
Right.
that they didn't want anything but single-family
correct.
bungalows or
Yeah.
cottages built there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I would say that it would have conveyed with the buildings they're on, or in that restriction, it would have said, you know, no additional structure other than a single-family home, you know, it would have, I would tend to lean towards Bill's interpretation on the fact that that probably didn't exist. I
Is there a
did,
map for 1920 of the area?
I don't have one.
I'm just
This is the
looking-
one, this is the atlas that I've used before with you down in the campgrounds. Seems to be the,
Well, it's certainly recorded, it's a recorded plan, right? So we've got Barnstable County relies on it, so it's kind of hard for us to say we can't. I only had one crazy little note that it just caught my eye. On the zoning under, on your assessor's record card, under the zoning note, it says C/W with L143.
where are you referring to on that?
Right, third line down, third box over,
It's 2 lots.
it just says, right, it says C/WL143, so I'm wondering if that means it was conveyed with lot 143 at
Oh,
some point, or
yeah,
if it means contiguous with.
It,
Just an interesting note.
Mike, back in the 70s, Eric Orn was my client, and he, 70s and 80s.
Yep,
And he bought this lot. I did do some significant title research on that chain, and he bought that lot 144 in the 80s, and then in the 70s, and then in the 80s, he bought 143 from my client, Tom Friel. And then the house now straddles those two lots.
That's why the assessor's
So
card
the-
says 1980.
Right,
Instead of-
right, because the assessors, for the sake of efficiency, like to send one bill if you own
Instead of two.
adjoining lots. And then people think, oh, they've been merged, and they've been joined. They haven't. It's just so you only get one tax bill. If you, give me one moment.
does your client currently own both lots or just the one?
Both, yes.
I assumed.
And
I assumed that, I just wanted to confirm.
I'm just looking up one thing. You bear with me. Please.
I know the relatives of the Smalley.
Do you?
Yeah.
It was
Why am I
Commander,
not surprised?
Commander Smalley was a big zoning case. Annie Smalley, Commander Annie Smalley, Attorney Bob Hall handled it. It's the corner of Miles Street and
Now you're gonna make me go look that up just for grins and giggles.
the
to read
Smalley
it.
case gets quoted a lot. I think it has to do with the planning board that you can't, the planning board on an A&R plan doesn't have to certify as to zoning compliance.
Okay.
I think that's what the Smalley case
All right, I'll have to go double check. Now,
stands for.
now I need to know.
I think it's on the deed tonight.
Let's see.
It's interesting that in 1887, they have the lots listed. And then 1910, they're not, which also kind of supports that there's no building on it.
Okay, So the deed that I just mentioned from Hattie Ayer, that's referenced there,
Yep.
and he says it's a portion of what he got from Hattie Ayer. So the deed to Carl L. from Hattie Ayer does not have that restriction in it
Okay,
in 1923.
all right.
And then when he sold it to the Hurlberts in 1925, he put that restriction on. So in '23, there was, to answer your question, this was not just, Bob's question, it's not just a restriction that was in the prior deed that was
Right.
carried forward. It wasn't in the prior deed.
It was specific to this one.
So I think we're just under the wire at 98 years.
I'll just pull
But
the
this
board.
isn't horseshoes, this is a standard, it's not, well, you're close, no, you gotta be 100.
I will pull the board if you would like to see how they, if they agree. I certainly do agree. I think the conveyancing would have said, particularly back then, I know. We had a similar situation with the
With the-
schoolhouse.
The
schoolhouse
Apostle House there, and it had in there from
And
a
then it
deed
had a
from my
mortgage deed.
grandparents, and it
Right, and then
said,
it had it was a transferring the land, and then it was subsequently a mortgage
Right.
for the land and the buildings thereon.
and the buildings thereon, right.
So, I think that's,
My only question,
Restrictions on lot 145 though?
Yes. Isn't it cool?
It's like you wouldn't see that today.
Um,
No spirits or intoxicating liquors
Right,
being made available.
right. Among other things, but those guys were tough.
Apparently.
They were Victorians, and they got all dressed in black, and they had black carriages, and then they would have meetings in the campground and down where, I think, where the parking lot was, and you've seen pictures. Temperance, right, it's all prohibition.
missed our opportunity down there. Bob?
can we legally, since it's not agended, other than just a discussion?
So I think this is, I think for tonight, I think it's more a question for Mr. Kroll, whether we're telling him, yes, we want him to have to file a notice of intent. We can certainly agenda it for another night to make a determination that it is not, should not be on the 100-year list, or to change the date of the building to no earlier than
I haven't had to come back
1925.
a second time previously.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to just do one and done.
I mean, if we can, I mean, I'm pretty convinced there wasn't a house there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, again, I'm just making sure we're staying in the right lane here.
Anybody else have a differing opinion than Bob?
I get a little nag in the back of my head, but I agree the preponderance of the evidence seems to
Yeah.
support it.
I think we're fine. I will, I don't know how we put it on our agenda here. So my only concern is all it says on the agenda is an informal presentation regarding 11 Atlantic Avenue. I don't think your presence would be required for a subsequent agenda item.
And I'm not against that.
But I would,
It's always nice to see you folks.
I do think we should probably agenda it as a vote relative to the age of the buildings, the building at
11
Atlantic.
Yes.
So I think we'll ask Rachel to agenda that for us for our next meeting, and we can kind of confirm the vote, but at this time, I don't see a need for you to have to come back initially unless you need something from us for the building commissioner. I don't know when you're going in for a demo permit.
Not, we have to get through Board of Health and Board of Appeals, so it's
Okay.
nothing urgent. So if you, I accept that if you say I don't need to come back, and,
I don't
then,
think you need to come back. We will leave this evidence for Rachel, just so that we can attach it to the appropriate minutes of the next meeting, and we will agenda it appropriately and go from there. And that's truly on me, because I didn't ask her what you were coming in for. I just said, yes, feel free to revise the agenda and put Bill on it, so
it was a week ago, so I said, thank you for squeezing me in.
not a problem.
And the clients appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right. Thank you for your
It's not
time and
often-
attention. You can hang on to those historic documents if you choose to. I have more.
So if everyone's in agreement, that's what we'll do next time. Great. Perfect. Have a good evening.
Thank you. I have. See you next time.
Night, Bill.
Bye, Rose.
Come on, Robin.
I will be much quicker. So I did update my application, so I'm just gonna put this in. I just put in all their ages of all the stones, because I put it together at the last minute.
Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Robin Kelly, I'm the cemetery administrator. I'm coming before you today, hopefully for support of the South Harwich Gravestone Conservation CPC article, which is in the amount of $23,000. We are going to repair 15 monuments, and if you look, there'll be three separate things that are stapled together. But the repaired stones, if you look at just, the very first one is Reliance Loveland, or Loveland, depending on which day they were doing it, because all of their census records always said Loveland. They put Loveman on their memorial. Anyways, this one is in 7 pieces, and it's pretty bad. So if you just look at all of the ones in here, when I do a CPC article, I always take before photos, then I put the lot number and the stone, because I don't want them fixing stones that aren't the stones that I actually want them to fix. So then I leave a space for them at the end, and I put a picture of what it looked like at the finish. So everyone always wonders why there's a blank piece there, but that eventually will be what the finished product looks like. There's also 29 monuments that are leaning or listing, and they will break into pieces if they're not fixed. So I have photographs of all of those as well. So I just want to read a quick little statement. So gravestones bear witness to our lives, countless individuals that contributed to our community, our culture, and our nation. These stones are more than just markers of graves. They are expressions of storytellers that connect our roots and provide glimpses into our lives, struggles, and achievements of those who shaped this town. Why should we care about preservation of these gravestones? Gravestones are a historic document. They record not only the names and dates, but the epitaphs, symbols, and inscriptions, and offer a perception into their values, beliefs, and views of the time. These inscriptions tell the people, occupants, families, and contributions to society. Gravestones provide a window into the past that's unique to each memorial. And gravestones are a source of genealogical information, which I use pretty much every day. Our cemeteries, especially the South Harwich Cemetery, serves as an archive for family histories. This information engraved on these stones often helps individuals locate their ancestors, understand their heritage, connects them with their roots. Preserving these markers will ensure that future generations can continue to explore their histories. This graveyard is from the early 1800s. It's the only cemetery in the town on the National Register of Historic Places in this town. It also, the South Harwich Meeting House won the 2019 Preservation Award for Adaptive Reuse and Rehabilitation and Restoration. So this cemetery is a very used cemetery. We have a lot of events there, and these monuments, especially the ones that are broken, are kind of a tripping hazard or a danger for people who are visiting. So this is probably the smallest CPC article I've ever had, because it's most of the stones in the cemetery are in really good shape for the most part. There's just a small handful. All of the stones will be afterwards, they'll be cleaned and indexed for us. And I always give you guys a copy of that at the end anyways.
So just a question, is this a town cemetery?
Yes,
And,
this one has always been a town cemetery.
and just for people watching, this is the cemetery that surrounds the South Harwich Meeting House?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
No? It's-
Anybody want to make a motion? I think the request is whether we
Or in
support
support.
the use of historic funds, CPC funds, for this gravestone preservation.
Make a motion that we approve it.
Okay, motion made by Julie,
Do we support it or approve it?
Supported.
supporting, I think.
Second.
So motion's made by Julie, seconded by Lynn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0.
Question, though, while you're here.
Yeah.
On Lothrop, by the Lee Baldwin
Yes,
thing, and in there is Medibol or something?
Mehetabel, yeah.
Which I'd never heard of that name before I ran across it. So, now, did you put in the new fence?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
So, and I am working with them to put a sign underneath we're gonna design one won't take away from the conservation sign that's there. We'll put it underneath. It's just two people in that graveyard.
Yeah.
Her and her child, so.
I thought it'd be a great idea to explain it, because it's always nice little history there,
Yeah.
you know.
And another update on the East Harwich Union Cemetery, that gravestone preservation, which you guys also supported, is just wrapping up. That will be finished probably this week. And that one was a pretty big one, though. Some of those stones there I didn't even know their names, because they were face down, you couldn't read them. And so as soon as all that information's back and digitized, he's just digitizing all of the information. I'll give you guys a report. I always do that at the end.
Just a question for you.
Yeah.
For people that want to clean their own stones,
So,
obviously you're taking care of the old ones, but,
So we actually, I run a stone cleaning workshop, and it's free. All the stuff that I do is free. If I'm doing a tour, it's free. If I'm doing a stone cleaning workshop, it's free. So I use D2 on memorials. I buy it in bulk. I have a ton of volunteers that work for me now that clean all of the stones. So Stephen Gonzalez and his wife Kim, they have been doing the North Harwich Cemetery. It looks amazing.
Right.
I mean, they literally, he'll go in there and he'll dig out plants. He does everything to make sure the monuments all can be seen.
Great.
But we have a lot of different people. We are going to be running another one because the Brewster Cemetery wants me to run one for them. And I said, I would, if you came to my cemetery, I'll teach you how to clean stones. So they'll be cleaning our stones for them.
there you go.
So I haven't decided which one we'll go to yet, but we'll be going to one. I would probably think it would either be in the old section of Evergreen or maybe Kelly Cemetery, something, one of the cemeteries that we haven't done yet, so.
Just always good to get ahead of it before it gets like this, if there are still people around.
Yeah, so I'm
you're-
very
you're
excited.
visiting.
And on another note, we are having our, on November the 11th, we are having the flagpole dedication at Evergreen Cemetery, which is turning into a very large event. We have a lot of different people who are going to be involved in that event, and I'll be talking about it at the Board of Selectmen. But that's another CPC article that you guys also signed off on. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
Robin.
Thank you.
All right, the only other thing I think we skipped over was the approval of meeting minutes.
We didn't
I
have,
don't even think we got them, right? Okay, so we'll skip over that. Any updates from anyone?
Yeah, real quickly, the renovation on Chatham Road. If you haven't been by there, take a look at what they're doing. So they kind of renovated in place, and then they lifted it.
Yeah.
But all the detail they put on, I mean, that would be a good candidate. When we talked about giving an
Yeah.
award or something,
Mhm.
and maybe we can ask for money if we have money to do that, but that would be a good candidate to maybe start that process. It's amazing what they're doing.
They're doing a great job.
They're doing a great
Great.
job, and I've done a very similar renovation, and it takes a lot to do, and they're doing it.
Great.
It's easier to knock it down and build a new one, but they're doing exactly, what we're trying to do here, so kudos to them.
Great.
um,
Anything else?
just the, update, well, I don't have an update. Have you heard anything
I-
about 209?
I have not, but I have not asked either, so.
Okay.
You want to update the board, what you,
Well,
what you
yeah,
saw and what,
Yeah, basically, they've totally removed the exterior and removed a nice half-moon window and just put a square window in. And as far as we can tell, they cemented over the brick foundation, which I mean, that's a cheap fix, I
They
guess.
just
to-
parged over it.
Yeah, and
Where is
looks
this?
terrible.
Bank
Next,
Street.
next to the
Fire
old
station.
fire station.
Oh,
There was the house there. So I did go up and report it, and they were going to visit the site, but apparently they only pulled an interior permit in July 19th, and no evidence of an exterior permit. And certainly, I guess, didn't come before us. I went back and looked, because I know we've talked about that house before, but I couldn't find anything, at least in the last 2 years or 3 years, they came before us.
And we can't impose fees or anything, right, fines or?
The building
the
inspector.
building inspector can. And my understanding is that Rachel is now a zoning enforcement officer in the building department. So
Okay.
we really have kind of a management level staffer in the office now, so.
Can they make them return it back to?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
So it's really, it's the building commissioner's discretion as to what he
Yeah.
deems is appropriate for them to do for remedy. So it's up to him on fines, and
But they would still have to
fix.
come before us, right?
they should have to still come before us, correct,
Right.
to do anything like that. You know, with Forest Street, fines were imposed, and
Yeah,
it was a little too late to do.
yeah, that was
Do
different.
anything,
That was
but-
just
Yeah.
too far gone, but this isn't, certainly.
So hopefully it was an errant contractor that didn't know any better, and
It looks like it's some individual bought it a year ago, and I think it's a fix-up. And he's doing the work, it's the contractor who owns it, so I
Okay.
think
So
it's,
maybe, yeah.
someone's flipping the house.
well, contractors
that's-
should know better.
Absolutely.
So
Well, the fact that he didn't ask for an exterior permit, I mean, right there, that's,
Oh, and,
yeah, so hopefully we can.
That'd be an express permit at the minimum for the windows and siding and the roof.
Right.
So it'd be like maybe,
Right, I mean, if that was like for like, that's a different story.
yeah,
If
it's
you know,
not though, yeah.
if it's not,
Yeah, we have to at least pull that permit for the exterior.
right. So just as a note to Rachel, if she could maybe give us an update on what happened
Yeah.
with 209 for our next meeting, 209 Bank Street. Anything else from anyone else? Lynn?
Yeah, we had dinner at the Seal the other night, and I mentioned to Josh that we hadn't seen a permit on the shutters. And he's there, I have the paperwork, I guess it would never got brought. I'll get it taken care of.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why it came up was I had gotten a question in the Historic Society about pictures about the exchange, and several pictures of the Three Sisters
Right.
came up in my view, going back into the mid-1800s, and there
There's
was never
never
shutters
any
on the
shutters
building.
on that building.
Those are, again, situations that we should let the building inspector, the building commissioner deal with.
Yeah, not talk.
So,
Makes sense.
Hopefully.
I mean, would you rather us bring us to the attention of the chair?
Um,
first,
so-
or do
What's
you-
the procedure here?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, just so we're.
If
aware.
you see something, I kind of look at it as a see something, say something, but within reason, we don't want to be harassing the building department either, because they're busy as well, but, to the point that Bob had with 209, certainly let me know that you're calling the building department and letting
Yes.
them know.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it is appropriate to ask to speak to Rachel as our staff liaison. And it's also, she works for the building inspector as a zoning enforcement officer. So we can simply ask them to look into whatever property it happens to be, and just let me know that you've done it. So that if I get a phone call from the building commissioner, that, I know what he's talking about. But yeah, it's a see something, say something kind of a situation,
And we recently did that for the middle sister. They did a handicap ramp on the side.
Right.
And I called Mary, got permission, spoke to Rachel, and she found out that the building commissioner superseded us because there's a safety issue, ADA compliancy for the ramp. So there you go, that's why that was done.
Yeah.
So just, I did look into that as well, but I went through that exact process in there.
So it's just safer with a lot of these things, because they're so timely. You often seeing it as it's happening, or immediately after it's happened. So, there isn't time to waste. And, I'm not checking my private email throughout the day. So, so feel free to call them. Just let them know that you're a member of the board, and that, you noticed such and such. But it's always better to let them investigate it and let them take the steps. And then they can, if they want input from us on a fine or a follow-up, then we can always give it at a meeting. So, anything else?
I have one question. So from our last meeting, regarding the property on 28 by Zudi,
Yes.
was anyone gonna go look at it? Because don't we have to post if more than 2
You do not.
hours? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Site visits are exempt from the open meeting
Oh,
law,
there, okay,
as long as we are not
Deliberate.
deliberating.
okay.
26 at 10 a.m.
Oh, has it been scheduled? When is
So,
it?
26
There's a
at
site
10.
visit?
Well,
When's it?
several of us asked if we could go in and just take a look at it.
Right.
And she did a pool out to see who was interested and what times were available. And it came back this morning, set it at 10 a.m. on the 26th. Go to the Zudi building, there is a waiver she wants signed if you're going to go in.
Anyone going?
I definitely want to go.
Yeah. 26.
I didn't get the invitation, so,
Yeah.
I didn't either, but
so I'm not sure who it was sent to. Lynn, was it sent to?
Shayna, the owner, sent it out.
No, but I'm saying I don't know who it was sent to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can we,
Like, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. She,
I don't know if I can go, but by all
Okay, it
means, if
was-
any of you would like to go, by all means.
I already did a,
Bob Nickerson, me, Barbara, Duncan, Barry, Emily at CapeCodTheatreCompany.org, then CC Bill Rucky, Aaron Maker, Michael Kennedy.
All right.
That's what I have on this email.
So yeah, if anybody, I would say if anybody's interested in going, get an email address from Lynn and see if you are invited to attend as well.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be smart.
All right.
Awesome.
Bob, you want me to forward this to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great.
And that came from who?
Shayna Red, the owner.
That's not the owner.
That's not the owner.
Yeah, that's not the owner.
The owner is Mrs. Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Well, she's on it too, somewhere in there. Don't,
Yeah, so maybe that's an assistant of hers.
probably.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I would reach out to.
Michael Kennedy is on this. That must be her husband.
Yeah, I would just reach out to the
Yeah.
email address and see if you'd be able to attend as well if you're interested.
We already did the demo delay.
We already did the demo delay, so we have nothing before us at this point, so, she was gonna meet with, I thought was gonna meet with Mr. Nickerson to see about, what interest he had in the building, so. But for our purposes, nothing before us at this point. Anything else? Okay.
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Motion's been made by Bob, seconded by Brendan to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. We are adjourned.